I've been here. Now, my background is in neuroscience, and I've had faculty positions at numerous universities, including Cincinnati, University of Michigan, University of Western Ontario, which is in Canada, University of Mississippi Medical Center, and most recently at Kent State University, which is a large undergraduate serving university with an R1 status. During this entire time, I've had federal funding from multiple funding agencies, including the NIH, NSF, and the DoD. Most of my research has actually been related to neurotrauma, a topic the DoD is very interested in. So even though I'm not familiar with a lot of the topics that you work on directly, I'm interested in these topics also from my own research perspective. I've published extensively throughout those years, and I've mentored many different students, I believe over 50 undergrads, over 25 graduate students, and over 15 postdoctoral fellows in my own laboratory. In addition, I have over 15 years of leadership roles and leadership experience related to research development, which is why I'm hired here today as a VP for research, but also for graduate and postdoctoral affairs. So I've run postdoc offices. I've been Associate Dean for Graduate Affairs at multiple universities. And I've also worked in student affairs and most recently in the Provost Office in academic affairs. So I'm really deeply honored to be here at New Mexico Tech. We are an amazing place. And so I want to show you some data just to show how amazing you are. So on this first slide, you can see the numbers of proposals that have been submitted for each year, each fiscal year of the last 5 years. And you can see even in 25, we're only halfway the fiscal year, you're completely on track to even blow the previous year out of the water. Unbelievable. This has translated also, you can see here both the numbers of awards as well as the total dollar of proposals that were submitted. And equally impressive are the numbers of awards and the dollar amount for those awards that have been received here at Tech. So you can see even this fiscal year, already at 124 awards and contracts that have been received. And again, we're very well on track to have yet another record-breaking year. So I just want to applaud all of you for these incredible accomplishments. Fantastic. Please give yourself a huge round of applause. So coming in an environment like that is daunting. And you're all looking at me like, okay, what are you going to do for us, right? So this is my idea of what I'm going to do for you. So the Office of Research and Sponsored Projects is really here to support you in all of these efforts. And this spans the entire project cycle to help you find funding opportunities, to help you prepare your proposals, and to help you submit proposals. Currently, you know, this is all being done by Dr. Judy McShannon, and of course many of the folks that are your colleagues and people in your offices and centers. Setting up your project, helping you to manage your project, and closing out your project, all in with compliance and fiscal responsibility, is done by our amazing team in Sponsored Project Administration. All of us work together in helping you through this entire part of the project cycle. Foundational to that is also the training and the safeguarding you receive for ethics and compliance. This is done by Dr. Lique Coolen's, her team, to help you with all aspects of that security, as well as many folks in your centers, especially when it comes to cybersecurity and other elements related to security levels of your data. So, what is going to be my role? Not only to oversee and make sure that all runs smoothly, but also to advocate for you and advocate for the science that we do at New Mexico Tech, at the state and federal level, with our national laboratories, with all of our colleagues at other universities. And to catalyze our collaborations and bring collaborations in with new partners, as well as to continue with our existing partners. And to support you in all of those efforts. Safeguard, together with Mikkel, together with our Sponsored Projects Administration, Finance, to make sure that everything we are doing is indeed safeguarded. And finally, to celebrate all of your successes. New papers that are coming out, new awards that you receive, and, you know, having our 2.4 telescope images being celebrated by CNN and all over the news this entire last week. That is really what I would like to really celebrate and focus on. And I think today is going to be one example of that as well. A colloquium like what we're doing here is really to celebrate all of your successes and to highlight all of your accomplishments. So thank you for that. Now, I do want to address a couple of items that have been happening the last couple of weeks. It's been an interesting couple of weeks for me to step in this role. In fact, I started the day that Trump was inaugurated. And it's been a firestorm since. And I know you have some questions. We've had to send out some communications. There's just two quick federal issues that I want to highlight and that I'm happy to discuss later. First is we are still under the NIH notice to reduce the standard indirect rate to 15% across all NIH grants. You know, a judge has blocked that effort and it's still continuing to be blocked, but this is definitely a threat that a lot of universities and a lot of our state legislators are paying a lot of attention to. Now you can say, I'm not NIH funded, this is not going to affect me, but it might. And so we will keep you updated on what happens at that front, what the consequences may or may not be of that change in the FNA rate for these grants. And any questions that you have on that or any concerns, please feel free to contact me, Gail Daly, or Judy and any of our partners in sponsored administration. The second executive order that has had a lot of impact on us is the executive order to end DEI, terminating all DEI efforts. And again, you can think, I don't have any DEI in my grants. But that's not always accurate because a lot of our proposal instructions have asked to expand on DEI efforts in our grant proposals. Moreover, as a university, we are deeply committed to supporting diversity, equity, and inclusion in everything that we do at this university, even if we do not call it DEI. So this will have some consequences for some of your proposals. Some of you have already experienced stop work orders. Any questions that you have, please contact your partners in sponsored projects, Judy, myself. We can all help you work through that. I also want to give you an update on a question that I hear a lot as well. What is happening with TEF? As you know, TEF is a wonderful state program to provide technology, and it's called the Technology Enhancement Fund, to provide what we call our cost share or matching funds. And I've heard we have not been successful to the level that we wanted to be in the last couple of cycles. And so I've been doing some digging into why that is, and we're making some recommendations and changes in the process for TEF applications. First, I want to remind you that these funds can only cover cost share matching funds or institutional commitment that is required by the funding solicitation. Or it is absolutely essential to be competitive for the proposal which is articulated in the request for proposals. So in other words, this is not the type of funding like, this would be nice to have. No, it has to be absolutely an essential part of the guidelines for the proposal. If that's not the case, we will not be successful with your application. TEF funds can also only be used by activities that are not covered by the proposal you're applying for or any other funding that we have at the university. In other words, these are funds to sponsor aspects and activities that would otherwise not happen. And that includes salaries and funds for other activities. Now, all applications that we submit will be reviewed by the TEF committee. I am a member of that committee. All the VPRs from the New Mexico universities are on that committee. And only a portion of the proposal will be forwarded. And of that portion that we recommend, the state committee, the HCD, will not accept all applications. In other words, these are not guaranteed funds. This is a competitive process, and I really want to remind you of that. And so to help us in our TEF application success, we will be implementing a process where there will be an internal review of the applications with going back to you for edits before they are submitted. I'm hoping that will increase our likelihood and a success rate for these applications. But it also means that when you are writing your proposals and your support letters, this cannot be written in as a guaranteed matching fund. This is not guaranteed. This is a competitive process. So we'll be working with all of you on that. So we're here today to celebrate this research colloquium. And so I first want to acknowledge the incredible work that Dr. Judy McShannon has done to organize this symposium. Can I please have a huge round of applause for Judy? And I assume that you also all know that Judy will be retiring at the end of April. I'm trying not to cry here. And obviously she cannot be replaced, but we will be hiring a person in this position. So spread the word. The position just got posted. I will be sending out notifications to all of you, but we will be searching for a new person to fill this extremely essential role in our office. So again, thank you, Judy, for everything that you've done. And we will have a celebration for Judy before she retires. So you can all come and say all your thank yous and your goodbyes to Judy. Thank you again so much, Judy. I also acknowledge the work by Gina, who helped with organizing the rooms and the food for this event, and the support here by Juan, who is helping us with all of our loading of our presentations. But also, as you know, we are actually streaming this this year. So via Zoom link for those colleagues who are not able to be here the entire day or even a portion of the day, so they can listen to the talks. And most of our talks today will be recorded, so at some point in the future we can potentially share those via our website or other vehicles. So our program today is very exciting. We have 21 talks, there's 20 posters in the room over there, there's booths by many of our colleagues, including our cybersecurity team. Our Office for Innovation and Commercialization has a booth. Please go and talk to our colleagues who are at the tables. And of course, this is an opportunity for you to network. Our talks today are short, and I think many of you will struggle to make that happen in those 15 minutes, at which point I'm standing right next to you, kicking you off the podium. And so there may not be time for questions after each talk. At which point I encourage you during the breaks and during the poster session, the lunch, to ask your questions then. If there is time, I will allow a question, but I can predict right now that's not going to happen. And we have two feature speakers. First, we'll have our keynote speaker, Dr. Irwin, and then we'll listen to a talk by Dr. Susan Bilek, who's our New Mexico Tech Distinguished Researcher. So it is now my privilege to introduce our first speaker, our keynote speaker, Dr. Richard Scott Irwin. Dr. Irwin is a chief specialist at the Space Vehicles Directorate at the Air Force Research Laboratories here in New Mexico. Dr. Irwin is responsible for the technical quality of the more than 300 million per year science and technology investment in the Space Vehicles Directorate. He also coordinates these space investments with other government agencies and industry internal research and development to establish new collaborations and to improve the opportunities for technology transition into operational systems. Dr. Irwin received his master's and PhD degrees in aerospace engineering from the University of Michigan in Ann Arbor. He's been, since then, at the Space Vehicles Directorate, so since '97, in many numerous different roles, several leadership roles as well. In that time, he has authored over 120 technical publications in the areas of autonomy, spacecraft communications, dynamics, and controls. He has also received numerous rewards, I'm sorry that cut off, including a fellowship in multiple organizations, as well as several rewards to acknowledge his contributions to this field and to the technology transfer in this field. So with that, I would like to welcome Dr. Scott Irwin.